Last year, we onboarded well over 100 real estate agents and investors to build their business on our platform. We aren't a coaching group. We aren't a mastermind. We are a services business. So we provide lead generation software and tools to grow your real estate company. And what we found out of those couple hundred that we had onboarded was the ones that were doing multiple millions of revenue per year, or not a couple $100,000 per year. They had built a very similar team almost every single time. And today I'm going to teach you how to build the top 1% real estate team that gets you to where you want to go. Hey, I'm Ruud-Johnson from Easy Button Investor. In 2018, I founded my real estate company, HelloPad, that's gone on to do hundreds of off-market real estate deals, provide a lot of listings for our team as well. And one thing I want to talk to you about today is how successful investors build a system and a team that allows them to scale and scale beyond their own skill set, scale beyond their own pain threshold, and build an actual, what I call a dream business and not a prison. Because most investors that I meet that pull me aside after I speak on stage, that message me after they hear a podcast, they're in what I call deal prison, meaning they have this massive beast they have to feed, and that they have to wake up and work 10, 12 hours, wear every hat, be stressed to all get out constantly just to build that machine. And that's not what I want for any of you guys in listener land listening to this video today. So I'm going to give you the exact implementation playbook you can follow, and even the tools that you need to build this, even if you're completely solo. The first place we have to start is with the understanding that most people actually destroy their profit by building a team. Just hiring to hire is not the answer. And I think having a small team is a bigger flex than a massive team. You need a couple assassins, not a massive army of average. What most people do, you guys, is they hire out of order. They hire out of sequence, and it destroys their profit. They've done 3 deals and they want to go hire a salesperson. They've done 20 deals or 100 deals, but the reality is they're only getting 3 leads per day, but they want to go build a sales team. They have no process for transactions, but they want to go hire a transaction coordinator. They have no idea how to delegate or onboard or train, but they want to go hire an admin. And so hiring out of order destroys your profit. And I've built what I call the real estate hiring ladder, which is a spinoff of Dan Martell's hiring ladder. And it's a 5-step hiring ladder that you absolutely should follow to make sure you sustain profitability and don't go out of business. The first one is an admin. So an admin assistant that's actually going to allow you to free up your time, get off the email, get off the calendar, and focus on sales and marketing and putting deals together, putting real estate transactions together, which is how you're going to make your money. The second one is fulfillment, right? So typically speaking, that's going to be a transaction coordinator handling your paperwork, a boots on the ground doing walkthroughs for you, someone to help you fulfill in the fulfillment of your product. And then you are going to have marketing, right? So before you get to sales, before you get to building your leadership team, you need to have marketing. You need to find a way to get to 6 to 10 leads per day, whether you're an agent or an investor, to start really building this thing up before you start hiring your sales team. And then you have a sales team. And I think there's really 3 components of a sales team in real estate. You have an appointment setting function, you have a closing function, and then you have a back end function. Let's say you are a real estate agent, right? Your appointment setter is going to be working your pipeline, setting listing appointments. You then are going to have the closing function, which is going to be you or someone on your team going on those listing appointments or showing those buyer homes. And then you're going to have a back end function. And that really only exists in the kind of wholesale or flipper side if you're going to be dispositioning deals via assignment fees / wholesale deals. But those are the 3 roles at the sales level that I want you to start thinking about and processing. But you want to go in order, because the reality is, you guys, if you don't build the infrastructure, the training, the onboarding, the management system in order one by one and knock each one of those dominoes down, you are going to destroy your profit. The second reason that investors destroy their profit when they are real estate entrepreneurs and they start building their teams is they don't realize that rock stars identify themselves early on. You're not going to hire someone and realize 3 years later they're a rock star. And I see far too often, because we haven't hired enough people early on in our journey, that people just gravitate towards keeping people even when they're average, even when they're not performing, even when they're not driving the business forward. And that's incredibly important to realize is, one, you need to have the reps. You need to hire 10, 20, 30 times for each role. But you also have to have the reality that you're not building a family, you are building a team, and teams have to perform. And if there's people on that bus that are not performing, it's your job to get them out of the bus, because great performers don't want to work with average performers. That's how you destroy a culture. Now I'm going to talk about, guys, as you now understand those 5 levels of hiring, those 5 levels of team building, what the 5-phase team architecture is. So now that you know who to hire, now we have to talk about the environment you have to create for them to win. The first thing you have to have, you guys, is an effective operating system. How you have your meetings, how you track your data, how you define what success is for every single person on your team. It's understanding abdication versus delegation. I see so many newer real estate entrepreneurs or experienced that go to start hiring and they get on one Zoom call and they tell someone one time what they want them to do, and they get frustrated when they eventually don't do it correctly. That is not a recipe for success. Delegation is a process, an onboarding, a training on how to do these things properly. And below this video for free, I've packaged every single thing I know about the 5-phase team architecture, and not just hiring, but then maintaining a good team completely for free to you. Then you have to talk about hiring. So once you have an operating system, it's how you hire. To me, a lot of you guys will be fine hiring overseas for most roles. I'm using something like Upwork, going through a service company like ours to hire those people, but hiring someone overseas is an incredible next step for you. Then you have, and in my opinion, what's the most important part of the 5 after you have an operating system and after you have a way to hire, which is how do you train and onboard? Training and onboarding seems basic. It's not. There's a couple of things I like to talk about. The first is what I call a digestible meal. Anytime you onboard someone into your organization, giving them a very digestible meal so they don't get overwhelmed and they can start feeling successful. Every employee just wants to go to bed feeling like they did a good job. The fourth part is how you build culture. And culture is not writing core values on a wall. Culture is the ability to sustain a set rule book of behavior for your team, right? You want someone when they interact with the organization to describe you guys as urgent. You want them to describe you as motivated, as self-starters, and that comes from holding the line. And the number one thing I can tell you is understand set points versus boundaries. And there's a great book by David Dodson called The Manager Handbook, and he talks about this concept that when an employee or a contractor or someone on your team does something out of standard with your company culture, they get mad at someone, they cuss them out, they treat a customer badly, they ruin a deal. You have to ask yourself if that is a boundary for them, meaning they were in a rough period of their life, a rough day, and they made a mistake, or if it's a new set point and this is who they are as a person. And you constantly have to be evaluating that. And the second thing I like to recommend is every single quarter or every single month, ask yourself, if this person left, would you be relieved, neutral, or devastated? And if the answer is neutral or relieved, you do not have the right person. If you're going to be relieved if they quit today, you do not have the right person. If you're going to be neutral, you probably don't have the right person. The way you know you have great talent at the end of the day is if you are pretty devastated when they leave. And that's a feeling that once you go through it, you will know. You will know what that feels like. And then the fifth part is you have to be able to create a vision big enough for their vision to live within it. If you want top performers, if you want A players, if you want rock stars, your vision for your company has to be big enough so that their financial vision, their goal for their life can fit within that. And so you constantly have to be crafting and communicating to them what I call commander's intent, which is what is the intent for the business? Where are you going? And you need to communicate. On my weekly one-on-ones with my team, I communicate that weekly. So they're reminded that their vision fits within my mission. And that's how I've been able to retain talent, retain people, retain rock stars, and help them grow and develop for so long. Then we'll move into, you guys, now that you have the big 5. So now that you know that the biggest thing that investors need to focus on is building a rock star team, and now that you know how to do that, so you know the concepts of how to do that, you understand you have to build an operating system. You then have to have a way to hire, a way to manage, train, and onboard, how to build culture, and then how to lead and develop a vision to keep them long term. You then have to understand what I call the implementation phase of all of this. And that's going to start with assessing your current situation, where things currently are, right? Mapping how you currently spend your time, identifying which activities create the most value for you, calculating your effective hourly rate at different tasks, and then determining the biggest operational bottlenecks in your business. One effective approach, it's called a time audit. Dan Martell came up with it in his book, Buy Back Your Time. It's document your 2-week period in 30-minute increments, everything you do that day. Document it. And when I have our clients do this during onboarding, what they typically find is 80% of the time is going towards things that don't matter and don't make them money. It's a huge unlock for you. Activities that can be delegated for $5 to $20 an hour. Once you understand where your time's going, you have to go into system development. Before making any hires, you have to be able to create systems for them to follow so they can be efficient in their role. Document your core process through recordings. Create basic checklists and repetitive procedures. Develop templates for clear communication. And ultimately establish KPIs and what success looks like for them. The goal of all of this, you guys, when you talk about implementation, when you put it in first principles thinking, it's that you have the right person coming in with a clear path to succeed, right? It's why NBA teams have coaches, because as good and talented as the players are, if a coach can come and simplify a strategy for them game in and game out, hold them accountable to that, they do well. You can take the most talented NBA player ever and you put him on a team with a bad coach and a great coach, and he's going to perform differently because a good coach is going to put him in the place to win. And that's how you want to think about your team. You are the coach when you start hiring, and your job is to develop strategy, systems, plays, and things to follow so you put them in positions to win. That is what the implementation phase is. So again, I started this whole video talking about how I've analyzed hundreds of investors and agents' businesses, and the high performers, the one that kick ass for a long period of time, they build a great team. And we talked about first the people that tend to be on that team. Then we talked about the framework of how to get them to success. Then we talked about implementation. But at the end of the day, the thing you have to understand is that what you're really trying to do is make more money, not just hire to hire, not make more revenue. We talked about the fallacies at the beginning and where people go wrong here, but your job is not to hire to hire. Your job is not to chase vanity metrics. It's to build a team that allows you to make more money while running efficiently and building your dream business. One of the biggest objections I get on this topic is, hey, Cole, I can't afford to build a team like this. And the reality is, even if you start with a virtual assistant for $5, $6, $7 an hour, you start getting used to managing someone. That's where I started. I highly recommend it. Then what if you hire people and they underperform? That's going to happen. Part of hiring is firing. Every company has turnover. You are going to hate it for a while, but it's the only way you build your dream business. The reality is that I know this seems complicated, but it gets clear. Like once it clicks and you hire that first good admin, or you hire that first good salesperson, it'll change your life forever. Building a team can be the best thing you ever do or the worst thing you ever do, depending on how you do it and how you structure it. I know people that never work on what we talked about today, and they just hire and hire and hire, and they never get anywhere. But I know people that hire 3, 4 people, and it changes their life forever because they've implemented what we've talked about here today. If you're ready to transform your real estate business into not a hustle, not a prison, but a dream, then grab the resource below this video. It's completely free, and it'll help you take the next step in your business. Thanks for watching. And remember, the goal isn't organizational bloat and to create overhead and vanity metrics and a bigger team. The goal is to create your dream business by leveraging people in a good, positive way that changes their life and changes your life. I'll see you on the next video. Make sure you like and subscribe.